It's a fascinating investment environment right now. I mean, there's obviously tons of volatility out there and uncertainty. I mean, President Trump puts a tweet out there and everything changes, it seems, or a post on social truth media or whatever it's called. But that's a tough time for individuals. You don't know what's coming next. And I was thinking to myself, we've had Justin Smith on before talking about mortgage investment funds. He's from Hawkeye Wealth Management. You can find them at hawkeyewealth.com. But I thought, hey, this seems to be a very good product when you start getting into uncertainty. So, Justin, I want to welcome you to the show and thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike. Yeah, we continue to believe that the mortgage funds are a good option for many investors. I think I've come on the show three times now, 2020, 2021, and I think again in 2022, talking about the importance of playing defense in a
Mm-hmm.
portfolio at a time where it actually wasn't that popular to be talking about playing defense, and how certain mortgage funds could provide that defensive positioning while also getting a great return. And since that time, it's performed exactly as it's played that role perfectly. Investors have earned 7, 8, 9% returns every year in the funds that we've worked with without being subjected to the roller coaster of the market. So it can be a really great product for those looking for diversification, stability, and income. And we continue to believe that's the case.
Give me just to bring everybody up to speed, give me the short term answer on what the vehicle is when you say it's a mortgage income fund.
Yeah, so mortgage funds will pool capital. They'll raise capital from investors and then they'll loan that money out secured against real
Mm-hmm.
estate. And they'll earn a return from the interest and usually distribute that income back to investors either monthly or quarterly. And investors can choose to take that income directly into their bank accounts or they can reinvest the distributions for compounding returns.
But it's not an equity position, it's a first position in terms of lending.
That's right. That's right. And the reason that we talk about defensive positioning is because the debt of a property carries less risk than the equity of a property.
Sure.
Anyone that's ever sold a home with a mortgage on it would know that the mortgage gets paid back first, and then the equity holder, you the homeowner, get whatever's left. And so that's a great thing. If you have the equity and you're the homeowner, it's a great thing if you've seen a lot of appreciation. But in these times of uncertainty and you've seen some depreciation, a lot of investors like the idea of eating first. And
Yeah.
if you hold the mortgage, you eat first.
Yeah, but obviously not all, and I look to the expertise that you have, but not all mortgage funds are created equal, let's say. I mean, there's not something like I can just blanket go and do everyone out there. That wouldn't be a good idea. So what am I looking for in one?
That's right. There's uncertainty in the markets remain. So generally debt is safer than equity, but it doesn't mean necessarily that like not all debt is safer than all equity and not all debt funds are created equal, right? And so for us, it's really important to look at the quality of the assets securing the mortgages, the loan to value, the mortgage seniority, right? Is it first, second, third
Hmm.
mortgages primarily? What's the quality of the borrowers and what's the ability of those borrowers to refinance and get a mortgage elsewhere afterwards? Because remember, these are usually designed to be temporary situations where the borrowers are paying higher interest rates while they have some transition in their lives, be it a divorce or a business owner that has lower income for a little while, but they believe they'll have more income later, or someone who wants to buy a new house, but they're not going to sell their existing house first, and they're not going to be able to qualify with the bank for the new one until they sell their old
Hmm.
one. So these types of transitional opportunities or situations are where the lenders come in. So the quality of the borrowers and the ability of those borrowers to exit, because you don't want to be holding these forever. Um, also location. Where are these mortgages located? You think right now if you had a mortgage fund that's heavily invested in Windsor, Ontario, it's different than if you have one that's more in Vancouver and Calgary, right? And then to say the least, it's important to understand the quality of the team. Great
Yeah.
teams make great loans. And so this is really what our role is at Hawkeye Wealth, to find what we believe are the highest quality mortgage funds out there and get our investors into them.
Just quickly, if I have one of these, how long should I realistically expect to hold it?
So most of these private mortgage funds are open-ended. That means that you can exit, you can
Hmm.
request a redemption when you want. Usually they'll have some sort of penalty if you redeem within the first year or two. Each fund is different, so you should definitely look into the fund that you're looking to invest in. But I'd say at least 1 to 2 years. You also have to be okay with some liquidity risk, given that these funds are private. They're not publicly traded, so one of your trade-offs for those strong, stable returns is that you have to accept a little bit of liquidity risk. And what I mean by that is most funds have redemption mechanisms. You can request a redemption and then they'll redeem you in 1, 2, 3, 4 months. They'll have each fund has different redemption terms. And well, if I give you our funds, for example, they've never denied a redemption request.
Hmm.
Whenever someone's wanted their money back, they've gotten their money back. We've processed many redemptions. So, but it's important to understand that there is a risk. If things really start to collapse and you get a really ugly scenario, it's possible for those redemptions to be paused. So generally 1 to 2 years, this is for the part of your portfolio where you're comfortable having that income but also having it a little bit less liquid than either cash or your publicly traded portion of your portfolio.
I mean, those are great explanations. I just wonder, do you have anything written on this? I mean, I just know people like to see, the hard copy. It comes fast and furious. So, do you have anything like, report, et cetera, explanation that way?
Yeah, we've actually been pretty um, involved in getting content out there on mortgage funds. I've created a video series. One thing actually that could be of value is our mortgage fund investor guide. What we found is that investors are very good at comparing returns between funds. It's just
Hmm.
one metric. This one does 7, this one does 8.5, and I'll take the one that does 8.5. And so that's great, but it doesn't really mean anything without the context of risk.
Sure.
What we find quite common is that when we're talking to investors, they'll mention that they're in a fund and that they're earning X return. Let's just say 8% return, and let's say the product that we're offering is also offering an 8% return. The conversation usually shifts to what risk we're taking on
Yes.
to get that same return. And a number of investors are more sophisticated, but a lot of investors just don't know what they don't know in this space. And so we did create a mortgage fund guide to really help people understand the fundamentals of the risk that they're taking on and what an appropriate return would be for that risk. And so I'd be happy to make that available to your audience if it would be
Well,
helpful.
that I appreciate that. What we'll do is we'll put it up on all our social media. We'll put it up in our emails, or our Money Talks blast, that kind of thing. So again, if it's a product that you think might be appropriate, you do have a few questions. We'll get the hard copy to you though. Make it very easy. As I say, we'll send out where you get it and that kind of stuff. Justin, first of all, I appreciate you doing that. In the meantime, I also appreciate you finding time for us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mike.
Hawkeye Wealth Management. Hawkeye Wealth Management. As I say, this is really a time for looking at alternatives. So all you have to do, by the way, if you want more information, you go to hawkeyewealth.com. hawkeyewealth.com.